Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham, here with BK Able Shepherd 051. What's up?
How you doing?
Good, Brian Karch. That just doesn't even sound right. You're BK.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
I like them both. This episode, once again, brought to you by Able Nation. That's able-nation.org. We can help with your security. We got all kind of stuff. We got scholarships. We got medical. We got security stuff like safety supplies.
Yep.
What's we got?
I would also say alarms.
I think the defend modules is huge. Like DEFEND, defense, evacuate, fortify, emergency medical aid, notify others in your immediate area, down 911. And we give that away. We're like, hey, start here. If you don't know this, you started broken. If you want help with that, contact Neil Pinkham. We call him the Sage at able-nation.org. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. All right. You're going to razz me on this one. Have you seen Hamilton?
Any more than you just razzed me about my iPhone not having a rotary
He's going to send me a quote from the Declaration of Independence. He hands me this and I'm like, what model phone is this? He's like, it's like an iPhone 7.
It's the original.
I'm like, where's the rotary dial on this thing? It's just like small, and it's like we give our kids the old ones and they can't call anybody. They can just text on Wi-Fi and look at stuff and everything. Yeah, rock your 7, brother. It's all right. I'm not a phone snob either. Just I'm not used to it.
I just sell phones for a living. No big deal.
And you were like, I got phone shamed.
Phone shamed by Jimmy Graham.
About a smartphone. All right, Hamilton. This one, I don't know why I got to get this off my chest. So you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
So I would appreciate any questions because I'm trying to figure this out. Can I set the stage?
Absolutely.
This is the second time I've had to apologize to Rachel Jean regarding a musical, right? Not a musical guy, right?
Yep.
What's the classic one, The Sound of Music, right?
Okay.
And there's Nazis in it and all this. It's kind of classic or whatever. It's kind of weird. But it was a good movie, right?
Yeah.
I'm just not a musical guy, right? I think what's the one you mentioned? When you're a jet.
Oh,
whatever. West Side Story?
West Side Story, right. Or Grease.
And I've been to some plays and I'm like, man, I feel like my son does in like on a pew in like old school church. Like whatever. I need to get outside. The first one was, this is the greatest show. What's it called? Greatest Showman. Greatest Showman?
I don't even know that one.
Oh man, I think that's what it's called. It's about
Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Yep.
Have you seen it?
No.
Dude, this should be called Greatest Showman and Hamilton. Fantastic, right? It's fantastic. I had a problem. Like, this was amazing. So this was great. I took it. Somebody's like, hey, watch this with your kids. It's cool. It's appropriate, whatever. And I watch it. And I'm like, this is amazing, right? So, okay. So I was wrong. Once again, I was wrong about Hamilton. So Hamilton, here's the deal. As I recall, because it's not a new thing, right? It's been years. And I don't know what year it came out. Don't really care. But I do know this. The actors afterward kind of took a political stance. And I'm like, I'm so done with people that portray honorable people in a performance, pretending they're them. You know, it's like there's not a whole lot honorable about Hollywood, in my opinion. Most of those people make a living trying to be portray somebody better than them.
Pretenders.
Right, exactly. They're great pretenders, right? So that's the industry, and we know that, and the Oscars and blah, blah, blah. However, I mark Hamilton as a don't even bother, right? Because it's garbage, and I don't need a bunch of people rewriting history. And somehow it bothered me too that it's okay for like black people to portray white people, but not the other way around. It's just this, we're not in a world where it's symmetrical anymore, right? We know that. And we can talk about that all day long, or not. I'm gonna choose not. But it marked it as not worth my time, right? So years go by and my wife comes and she goes, hey, me and the girls are gonna watch Hamilton. I'm like, okay, I'm not down with that. I care less. And I'd probably made something about some political statement, right? Not measuring to my mark. And me and the boy go upstairs to watch Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Like, no, the first one, like the good one, like, you know, Charlie Sheen and what's his name? Dalton, Roadhouse. What's his name? Patrick Swayze. Right? Great movie, classic movie, unbelievable and very timely, right? Wolverines and whatnot. So we go watch it, we come back down, and the girls are raving about it. And they're dancing around and they're singing and like, Dad, you got to watch it. It's so good. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch it with you guys. And I'm thinking, we'll put it on. I'll hug you and hold you, but I'm going to be shopping for trucks, right? I'm going to be on my phone. So good. I was so wrong.
Now, is it like a movie set, or is it on a Broadway stage type of capturing a performance?
It's a Broadway stage, which now this even sounds funny saying it out loud, because you know me, right? Rap. It's a Broadway set. It starts with like the King of England saying, this is the king, turn off your cell phones, enjoy my show. That kind of thing. It's kind of funny, British accent. I'm like, there we go, right? And they start telling the story of Alexander Hamilton and that story, which I was convicted too, because I know very little bit about him. I know more about him now than I ever have, and then my family jumps online to see what's true and what's not. As I understand it, relatively accurate.
Was it mostly true? Pretty accurate?
I think so. So I believe it to be very accurate on the things that we looked at, and my wife did even more than I did. But now there's all these conversations going on that are sparked. And that's what really got me. I think, I don't know if a couple of years ago, if this would even had any impact on me, but it's really, you've heard me talking about it like an idiot like I'm selling it, right? Because I'm like, you got to see it.
You've been very excited about it, passionate.
So if there's any other way you can watch it other than Disney, then do that. Or before you cancel your Disney, do that. Like we've already canceled it, just haven't shut off yet. Yeah. It's going to shut off any day now, and I care less because they're just lost their mind. But so good. Not like kind of like, give it a shot. No, go home and watch it tonight. That kind of thing. And I've had people saying, really, this is what, and somebody said it as a compliment, like, because you're this Navy SEAL guy, and are you really recommending a musical right now? I'm like, absolutely. Like, go watch it right now, right? And even have people saying it's racist because of the black people portraying white people, but you couldn't do it the other way. I get it, like, that white people can't go pretend they're black and go do a show, right? But that's racist. This part, like, I don't see a problem with, I didn't see it that way. I saw, I think they honored Alexander Hamilton and his life story, which was amazing and I knew very little about. And they say that. Like, who knows, his story didn't even get told, right?
Yeah.
And somebody read the book that came out recently, the guy Lin-Manuel, I think it is, who also did a couple songs out of Moana, another great movie. I don't know if it's a great movie or not. Come on, man. The Rock's in it. No, all these people are falling apart. Anyways, I've got kids, so I've seen it. But anyways, he's done some other musical type stuff. And if you would have asked me, hey, Jimmy, let's go watch Hamilton, and this is the kind of gist, and it's a bunch of rap, and it's this and that, and it's what I'd have been like, I think I got to go holes to dig. I got to go dig some holes and fill them back in.
So is it like, when I hear rap, is it kind of history written into lyrics, or is it like, I'm assuming the rap song is telling a story of some sort?
Yeah. Okay. The way they tell the story is absolutely ingenious. The performances are amazing.
Turn on the closed captioning.
Yeah,
so
I watch it with
words.
the closed caption on. Yeah. It's 10 times better. Their performances are amazing. It baffles me that people can remember 2 hours, because you're having a conversation. Every word's got a rhyme. It's got to be perfect, and it's a dialogue that lasts 2.5 hours, right, with everybody. Very little breaks, right? And the way that it's done, it not only keeps your attention, but they're good songs. I think I told you about this. My son he's 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And there's I don't think there's such thing as a spoiler alert, because it's Alexander Hamilton, right? It's like we should know it anyway. And if you don't know your history after this amount of time, it's like, what? He had an affair? It's like, and this is all common knowledge, right? If you know it. I didn't know it, admittedly. But then his son, the duels, like we had to explain duels. Like, what's going on with duels? And we explained what honor used to be. Yeah. And I say that, kind of pisses me off a little bit. What honor used to be. And I'm not saying it's right to have duels, but it's such a big thing that somebody's got to die today, right? Because you dishonored my wife, you dishonored my father, whatever. But imagine having an affair. Everybody knows about it because they in essence tried to use this against him. It was blackmail material. Yeah. And he said, you know how to not get blackmailed? And just write the whole thing. He's a writer, right? So he wrote it all about there in detail, posts it. His son is defending his honor and dies in a duel. Right? So it's a heavy deal. But this song in particular called It's Quiet Uptown, my 8-year-old son is watching this, and it's such a powerful performance and a well-written song. He's crying. Yeah. It's like, it's so sad. And I'm like, you okay, buddy? Wow. And it's just like, it's just, the talent is unbelievable. I will say this, 2 points. Watch it with the closed caption.
Yep.
Actually, 3 points. Cancel Disney afterwards. Cancel Disney, right? And then, what was my third point? The closed caption, and don't watch another thing about Hamilton ever. turn it off and don't revisit it ever again. Like you watch a show again if you want, because I've probably seen it 4 times, and that's weird that I even say that out loud. But it's that good, right? And it's such a patriotic reminder of what people went through for this nation. It calls you out. Like when this black George Washington comes out, I got chills. I'm like, it made me proud of George Washington. That ain't him. This is some dude, right? But the performance was amazing, and it reminds you that people used to talk this way. They used to act this way, but they meant it. This isn't some dude pretending that he went out and did it. What I'm thinking of in my mind are the people. This is a true story. This is our story. Like the people that did this, they did it for their heirs, and we are those heirs. That's what landed on Jimmy Graham's head during this deal, right? And it was an amazing performance. Now, back to the real world. It was so successful, all these, I was going to call them clowns, but that's mean. All these performers, now they have a platform that's a big one, and they just start being themselves. That falls apart, but fast, right? My phone goes to this thing where it's a Hamilton, and we're listening on the way to school, they get to pick the music, and they're doing this stuff. But then it jumps over to something that's related, and it's called Spamilton. And they do the same songs, but they do words about themselves and each other, and it's not only laughable, it's shameful. Like you had an opportunity to be a part of something great until now, right? And then you just stopped it out. The duels, the conversation about honor, then it opens this question about this performers of honorable figures, right? I did 2 podcasts on the Will Smith thing, right? Part of us starts believing it's I Am Legend guy. It's what's the other one? It's iRobot guy.
iRobot.
It's Mike from Bad Boys. No, it's not. It's this dude named Will Smith. He's a train wreck, and it's the dude named Chris Rock, and he dishonors people all day and humiliates people, and then he gets humiliated. And now, it's like I think there's this. And not to make this about that. The most real thing I've ever seen happen on TV happened on the Oscars, and I'm ecstatic that opened this conversation, right? Because people don't know how to deal with it.
So paint the frame of reference for me. Is this before the Declaration of Independence?
It's kind of living that. Yeah, it's everything from telling the story about a orphan. It literally starts off with, it's pretty harsh. The very first words are, immigrant orphan son of a whore. And you're like, what? Okay,
that's an introduction.
That's one way to start it. But it talks about this young kid that, his mom dies, his dad bails, like all this other stuff. Just a bad rap, but he's so intelligent and showing so much potential. They literally pass a hat and ship him to New York City to where you can become a new man. And he's so on fire to prove himself.
It's like when he's 14 or something?
Yeah. And he's praying for a war because the only way he's going to distinguish himself is to die a good death for a cause, right? So that's just a big deal. And then showing that, I think one of the reminders that I see when I watch it now at 48 with Abel Shepherd and all this other stuff was there were 4 individuals that they highlight. And it's Hercules Mulligan. It is John Lawrence. It is Marquis de Lafayette, French guy, and Alexander Hamilton, right? And these 4 guys hit off their talk, and then Alexander Burr, whatever. Not Alexander, is it Aaron Burr? They focus on this, and he is so intelligent, such a good writer. He's blowing everybody away. To where George Washington calls him to be his right-hand man, and then he's like, "I've got these friends." And then they band together. They're not afraid to get in the mix. It portrays this as I don't want to be the admin guy. In the SEAL teams, we'd call it the admin guy. Show me the ammunition. I'm ready to fight. I want the front lines. And they're like, "Hey, man, we need you over here." He actually does both, right? So he's actually fighting in battle, and it honors George Washington, and what an amazing figure it is. And this just sounds weird to say it out loud. There's George Washington is overseeing this delegation between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, but it's a wrap off, and it's unbelievable. Like you can't. You're hanging on every word. It's intelligent, it's funny, it's witty, and they just pulled it off, right? Okay. So now I understand what all the hubbub was about, and you kind of got to see it. And I think in particular the fact that it landed on me this year, just because of where everything's at right now, for sure. To turn on National Geographic and watch like, hey, the History Channel. Let's watch. No, that's what I meant. The History Channel on the same topic would be like, wah, wah, wah. And it's all good stuff because it is in the delivery. They found a unique way to deliver it. They found amazing actors and actresses that absolutely nailed it. Yep. And I wouldn't have guessed this. That surprised me. So that's where, I mean, and you've heard me tell.
And it's a real story.
It's a real story.
Wow. Yeah, Jenny and I were watching a show the other day. It's like everything in this story is true, except the parts we made up. I just had to laugh. That was the intro to the show. I'm like, really? Come on.
And that's the thing. You never know. I never would have guessed in a million years that I'd be pushing Hamilton for one, or a musical, or whatever. And it's just, it was such a stretch. It was such a reach, but they did it. So I think it's worth watching. So, and there's not a whole lot that I would say is worth watching.
I say it has to be impactful for you and Rachel, and then all the kids are taking something away from it.
Yeah.
Like I can see Eden down there dancing.
We were kind of 3 rooms deep when we realized, like, it was like, hey, somebody said, hey, it's good for kids to watch it. And there is an affair, and there is some language and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know that we would have watched it knowing that, but once we kind of, now we're in it. And then we had some sidebar conversations,
follow-up conversations.
Yeah. But that it led into so many good conversations. And I've told you many of them, about the honor, about all this stuff. We had to like almost pause and say, like, explain that. Like, we don't miss that point that they just made. And lyrically, they came up with these, like, some songs, some rap songs and all this stuff, where we had to pause and explain the significance of what was just said. Do you understand that really happened? Do you know what that meant for them? And all this other stuff. So it was like the most fun history lesson. And I'm gonna pair that with the book that we just I mentioned in the previous podcast with An American Covenant with Marshall Foster. Talking about the significance of who teaches your kids history. Yeah. Like, not as important who teaches them math or science or you fill in the blank. You need to hand select who teaches them their history because it will alter their worldview. Yeah. Like, if there's not a biblical worldview that built this nation, they start broken and then you get what you get, right? So I think that all segues, it ties together all of this. For example, I'm just going to take the last part of this, and this is back to Marshall Foster again, this last part of the Declaration of Independence when it says, and for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. He quotes that in his book, and he said they all lost their lives. Many of them lost their fortunes. None of them lost their sacred honor.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff. You can't miss that. I know, right? It's like they knew what they were doing, and they knew that it was divinely inspired, and that they knew that they had the protection of divine providence. They knew that God's hand was in this. And they were ready to risk everything. And then I think that's where he even says it, for their heirs. Yep. For their heirs. Like that, we're living that right now. So these people died and risked. And it's easy for actors to say this stuff. But to actually realize what you're portraying in these people that, no matter, it's very unlikely that you and I are going to do something today that would get us killed if somebody knew we were doing it. Now, I'm not talking about next week because you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying this was their life. That's the scene. And in this world of fake heroes, it's easy we enjoy things in our entertainment, prefer they not be in our lives because that takes buy-in, right? That was the reminder that I got. You may see a different movie. I'd love for you to check it out so we can compare notes on that. But I've been babbling about it for like at least 2 weeks. So I had to get it off my chest, and we got to talk about this.
I told you so moment. When I go home, Jenny's
you might be like, "This is garbage." Like, who told you this? Honey, no. Maybe, but it rocked me.
She's been begging me to watch that. So
yeah, is she really? Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, thank you, Jimmy Graham. Right? No, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But it's like, and maybe we do discuss it, or it works in a different podcast, and you just say, "Hey, by the way, I checked it out, and I'd love to hear your honest feedback." But I was actually moved by it, and I didn't expect it.
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. Any parting thoughts, brother? We've covered some ground here. We talked about Hamilton, George Washington, duels, honor, Declaration of Independence.
Wow.
Any parting thoughts?
That's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in.
Stuff that not only me as an adult, but for my son is stuff to model after. This is what this country is built on. Stand up for it.
Yeah, we won't leave that word that you just said untouched either. Model. That one's been heavy on me, and I think that and that is the thing that we can do. That's about the only thing we can do, really, is to know that there's I know there's 4 little sets of eyes on me right now, trying to figure out who to be when they grow up. I need to figure that out, and not figure it out as in, haha, what are you going to be when you grow up? Like, what are you going to do? But this isn't something you kind of figure out. You exactly figure out what you're going to articulate, particularly in self-defense, how to defend yourself and others, and when is that appropriate. And even that part we talked about, is it your job to defend your sisters and mom? So that's the kind of thing that I've been spending a lot of time in prayer in. And I want to thank, what's up, Kate? Thank you, Kate. I appreciate the honest dialogue. It's been on my mind. It really has, dissecting what I'm going to portray to my kids. And I will throw this out there too. I didn't plan on doing this, is the one part that I posted when I said something like, sometimes the old ways are the best ways. You're not on Facebook, so you don't know that. I put a thing about the slap with Will Smith and all that stuff, is that's one part that I would retract, that I believe I was wrong with. When I thought it was a guy defending his wife and her medical condition, I do think a man thing happened. I think something happened. A real man really boiled over for real on a real stage, and the world doesn't know how to deal with that anymore, right? Because it wasn't a set, it wasn't a hero, it wasn't a thing. They don't know how to do it with reality. But I did put on there, sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Like, you know what, guy gets out of line, you bring him right back, right? And part of me still, for a different discussion. But that's part I wish I wouldn't have put regarding this situation.
And what I appreciated was knowing that you and Kate may have been on opposite sides of the conversation. It was a healthy dialogue.
Yeah.
Here's what I said. Here's what I believe. Here's what you received. Here's what you believe. And you talked it through. Nobody got hurt.
And that's what I've heard feedback from that podcast, thanking us for that. Yeah. They didn't even say where they stood. They just said, thank you for portraying that two people had a different view on this. And they were both searching for a Christ center. Yeah. One as a man, one as a woman, one as both as people trying to be better people, simply with different callings on their life, right? And founded in Christ. So it's good stuff. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate you. Okay, we're going to wrap this one up, brother. Thank you, guys. We're going to sign off. We want to give a special thanks once again to able-nation.org. Thanks, Brother Neil. Appreciate the sponsoring the episodes and keeping us rolling. And to learn more about what we've got going on here, the vision of Able Shepherd, Able Nation, Stand in the Gap Initiative. Man, we got some stuff going on.
Some great stuff.
I've got some new ones coming too, man. Again, we got to move this needle. Check us out at ableshepherd.com. ABLESHEPHERD. Till we see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys. God bless each and every one of you. Take care of one another.